Mike, let's begin with new predictions that you have, and these could be some big ones.
All right, I do want to preface, I didn't log these predictions, but one of the guys I have already logged a prediction for. So let's just dive into it. Huge, Darren. We talk about Caden Finley pretty much every week on this program from Aledo, Texas, the son of former Green Bay Packers tight end and Super Bowl champ Jermichael Finley, a Texas Longhorn. So Finley is a legacy of UT. And while Texas A&M and UCLA and Arizona State, a couple others are still in the mix, this really does feel like a battle between Texas and Notre Dame. He's fresh off of a Notre Dame visit, and I logged a prediction for him to land with the Fighting Irish in early February, coming off of this visit on 3 Steve Wiltfong. If you follow recruiting, and Steve was on the Notre Dame beat for a while, you know this name, Steve Wiltfong, the Fong Bomb, as they call his predictions. So Finley got picked to Notre Dame. This is the number 117 overall player, number 16 wide receiver in the country, according to the 2026 On 3 industry ranking. So, hey, Notre Dame fan, if I said, what position does Notre Dame need to recruit better at? You would say wide receiver or like defensive end. Those would be the first 2 positions that would come off, off your mouth right away. So Notre Dame needs to land Finley. I mean, will the program continue on and everything, like Notre Dame's football program won't crumble to the ground if Finley doesn't pick the Irish. But listen, the Irish really needs to land this prospect. And it's not done. There's no silent commitment. But it's trending in a spot where Notre Dame feels very good that it's going to be able to land Caden Finley, 6'2", 195 pounds. Has all the potential to be a number 1 wide receiver for the Fighting Irish. So, he's going to visit Texas. He's got his official visit scheduled, but Notre Dame still feels really good about where things are at. Really good visit this past weekend. Fighting Irish absolutely rolled out the red carpet for arguably their number 1 prospect on the board. Also, Javian Osborne. So a couple news items here with him. He had a visit to Notre Dame last week. I believe we talked about it, Darren. That went really well. Osborne is from Forney, Texas. So the Dallas-Fort Worth area is very, very important for Notre Dame in the 26th class. Texas and North Carolina, 2 crucially important states for what the Irish are doing in this cycle. I've mentioned this before. It's cyclical. Which states are just so important for Notre Dame? It's like some years we're talking about Georgia and Florida so much. Some years, California is pretty much always important, but Texas can be hit or miss. This year, it's looking like it's going to be a hit, as well as North Carolina. You already got Thomas Davis Jr. committed, a big-time linebacker in North Carolina. It looks like the Irish are going to be able to land some other guys in that state. But going back to Texas, so you got Javian Osborne, top 100 overall player, number 8 running back, according to the On 3 industry ranking. He dropped the top 2. Darren, how often do we see like top 8s, top 10s, top 5s? It's like, yeah, all right. Top 2 for Javian Osborne of Notre Dame and Michigan. Now, if I'm a Notre Dame fan, I love seeing this for multiple reasons. But also, it's not like Notre Dame versus Texas or Notre Dame versus Texas A&M in-state schools, right? Schools you could drive to. Osborne is leaving the state of Texas, and he's going to the Midwest. It's just Notre Dame versus Michigan. And he's visited both schools here in the past week or so. He got to Notre Dame, was a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and he was just at Michigan. And, I think you feel better if you're a Notre Dame fan than you're a Michigan fan about where this recruitment's headed. And Blue and Gold's Kyle Kelly logged the prediction. When Osborne dropped his top 2, Kyle logged the pick for Osborne to end up at Notre Dame, and I am probably not very far behind him. I'm actually planning a trip to go out to Dallas in a couple weeks, so seeing Osborne is definitely, and Finley for that matter, is definitely a priority of mine. So really looking forward to that. But yeah, Osborne, when he was going into his Notre Dame visit, I was like, man, I could see this one trending quickly to Notre Dame, but until he visits, I know how confident can you feel? You just know he's a Notre Dame kid, but then he goes up there and is absolutely blown away by the trip, and definitely, quote, fits this place according to a Notre Dame source. So yeah, vibes are high right now for Notre Dame recruiting, Darren. Definitely an exciting time to follow the Fighting Irish. I know it's April 1st. As at least as we record this, Darren, I really hate April Fool's Day.
I
So
do
there
too.
is no fooling going on here. Notre Dame, it's been a while since they've got a commitment. Talking about the end of January, but just, strap in, Notre Dame fans. Irish are going to go on a run here pretty soon, I feel like.
Osborne, electric, boy, twitchy, fast and twitchy, very impressive. Let's talk some cornerbacks for a moment. The Irish were interested in a 25 corner in Javari Flowers, but he is committed elsewhere.
Yeah, we talked about this last week, I believe, Darren. Maybe it was the week before, but Javari Flowers from Miami Northwestern officially visited Notre Dame a couple weeks ago. Flew under the radar. Notre Dame wanted to keep that one quiet, but obviously it got out there. And the kid from Miami Northwestern. Notre Dame doesn't really sign too many South Florida public school kids. It's just very rare. Notre Dame did one with Davian Dixon last year, but Miami Palmetto, interior defense line, but it is rare. So Javari Flowers, a 4-star cornerback, reclassified from 26 to 25. So, officially visited Miami and North Carolina and Auburn and Florida. And it ended up really being, again, between the Fighting Irish and the Gators, and a decision that went down to the wire. Notre Dame was definitely putting together an NIL package to, get him to South Bend. And, I think some people close to him wanted Notre Dame, but Flowers wanted to stay in state and picked the Gators. So not a surprise there in a vacuum. A kid from Miami stays in state over Notre Dame. Not a shock at all. But I found it interesting, Darren. I've been covering Notre Dame coming up on 6 years. It's a month from today will be 6 years on the beat for your boy. When Chad Bowden got to Notre Dame in 2021, you just saw like this aggressive nature to like the Chad Bowden and Marcus Freeman coming in as DC, and it was just like kind of rejuvenated the recruiting operation at Notre Dame. They just went after guys that maybe Brian Kelly and company wouldn't have gone after and landed. Brennan Vernon comes to mind going into Ohio State's backyard and landing him, like a Rico Flowers, guys with edge to them. And I feel like with Mike Martin and company, they're doing, and Mike Martin, Jordan Blake, even Jawan Sider, a South Florida native who I believe was a big part of why Notre Dame even went after Flowers in the first place. I kind of feel like we're seeing that again, if that makes sense, Darren. It's like, yeah, maybe Flowers is not your, Miami Northwestern kid. It's not the, the profile Notre Dame recruit, your buttoned up, Chicago Catholic League kid or, Cincinnati Catholic League kid. It's maybe not that, but Notre Dame new recruiting personnel guys coming in and wanting to maybe push the boundaries of what Notre Dame usually does. That's my read. That's not something anyone inside the building or around the program has told me. Nothing like that. But that was kind of my thought, because my buddy Kyle Kelly, coworker, was like, man, they're really pushing hard for Javari Flowers. And I'm like, yeah, talented prospect and all that, for 100% would be a great get for the Irish. But it's like, they had a 6-man DB class, including 3 corners. It's not like they're out here dying for another one. But I just feel like new regime coming in, they want to just make statements, if that makes sense, Darren.